Gentlemen, thanks for your testimony this morning. It's good to see both of you. General Fenton, I had the opportunity to spend the weekend down with General Braga at USASOC, and one of the things that we were talking about is that concerned me greatly is that the Green Berets are currently only producing about half the number that they are attriting each year through separation or retirement. What are we doing across the force? Specifically, that's a conversation about the Green Berets, but what are we doing across the force to make sure that we are actually replacing the number of special operators that we need?
Representative, I'll start by saying, first, we maintain the standards, right? And as I look at that, it's a challenge to get a production that in some days, I think if we're talking about SF enlisted, I think the requirement, General Braga probably talked, is about 825. When the force overall shrinks, that certainly shrinks down our input pipeline. And we're not going to adjust the standards. And we've had this conversation with Secretary of Defense, who is all about lethality and warfighting. And I talked a bit about production rates. And I think at the very end, he said, maintain the standards. Roger that. Now, that isn't, don't do other work to try to get more in the pipeline. So I think with some level of force size reduction in the Army, we're talking about the Army here, that is a challenge of who wants to come in the pipeline. I will offer that we've tried to amp up our 18 X-ray program, which has been, and hopefully General Braga explained this to you, has been a really good program. It's about 3,000 folks who otherwise would not come into the Army, coming in off the street, going through infantry basic training, advanced training, and going through SFAS and the qualification course. And that 3,000, about 800 make it. So there's about 2,200, because we're enforcing the standard, that go back to the Army and serve in all kind of infantry units and do well. I do think there's a way we could amp that up, not only for the good of the Green Berets, which are part of the Joint Force, but also to bring in additional folks into the Army who would otherwise not even think about the Army unless they were coming towards special operations. So we got the same type of contracts with Ranger contracts. So I think there's a lot out there we're trying to do, but I think it all goes against, we will absolutely maintain the standards. We've had a recent audit, and that audit from the Department of Defense has come back that we're maintaining the standards. So I think we got some challenges.
Yeah, thanks, General, for that, and thank you for maintaining the standards. It's incredibly important. And I'd like to take the rest of my time and talk about drones. Mr. Jenkins, you talked about we need to be actively taking lessons and innovate from current conflicts. General, you talked about a supersonic acquisition and procurement process, that we're moving at a glacial pace, that we have an outdated system. And you also said that we're still at the talking stage with industry with respect to small drones.
Representative, no, we're well in discussion. I just wanted to make sure that folks understand, maybe I misstated. We are in constant discussion with small and medium-sized companies that are in this business, and in many ways we have some of their product already. So we're not just talking, we're actually doing.
Okay.
We need to do more.
I appreciate that, because I was a little concerned by the statement, thinking we need to move a little bit faster and soft.
Roger, so we are, absolutely, but I'm never happy.
Absolutely.
I want to go speedier, so I won't be complacent, but we're well in the thick of this.
One of the lessons that I have picked up from Ukraine is that their production process of how they're manufacturing these FPV drones, which, as we have discovered, are responsible for 80% of the Russian casualties on the front lines. These are become a very, very important and transformational technology on the battlefield, is that they have somewhat of a hybrid mechanism of production, some outside industry, some internal. Are you open to the possibility that in order to actually create this capability at scale, that part of that effort may actually need to be done organically within the force, given all the frustrations and constraints that we have with our defense industrial base and our acquisition process at this time?
I absolutely am, Representative. I think we're already doing it throughout all the SOF. We've got incredible folks who come in who not only want to shoot, move, communicate, do combatives, get after the what I call the soft basics that are the baseline. They're all into putting this stuff together and getting it out in a homemade way and doing them in the hundreds. I think our challenge is at some point to scale that. There's probably a private sector piece that's got to come in. But I think in many ways we're doing that. We need to be able to scale that, and we want to scale more.
Thank you.
If I could just double down, that costs money, too. That costs money, so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we